Verse 378. What is imagined being subjected to further imagination, there are various views from which rises the doctrine of causal origination. When the dualistic discrimination is got rid of, there indeed is perfect knowledge. The last few verses have been about this perfect knowledge, and also what occludes this perfect knowledge. And what hides this perfect knowledge is this thing called the false imagination. The false imagination is our story of reality. We've all got a story of reality, except we don't think of it as a story. We think of it as reality. We think our story of reality is perfectly logical, fair, common sense. And that others that don't share our story of reality are somehow not getting the full picture. They're a little bit limited in their understanding. I think we all have this feeling, don't we? That our understanding of reality is actually it. Any reasonable, insightful person will appreciate our story of reality. Our story of reality is here described as false imagination, because it's how we imagine things to be. And how we imagine things to be is not how things are. Seeing how things are and imagining how they are two quite separate things. So the imagined one is false, and the perfect knowledge is seeing things as they are, not as how we think they are. So most of us abide in our story of reality. And I wonder if you can get a sense of what I've just been talking about. This sense that your story is the most reasonable, common sense understanding of reality, which the world would be a much better place if everybody could appreciate your story of reality. It's important to get a sense of this, because then we can question it, then we can look deeper and perhaps break through to perfect knowledge. So this story, our story of reality, is described here as what is imagined being subjected to further imagination. And we all have our own individual story. Perhaps some elements of our stories have something in common. In fact, there's an infinite diversity of stories, what are described here as various views. I would think that most of them, if not all of them, there might be one or two exceptions perhaps in Aboriginal shamanistic cultures, I think they all have one thing in common. And that's the assumption that there's a world out here which has been going on for quite a long time. Not so long if you're a creationist, a bit longer if you're an evolutionist. So this is one thing that the creationists and the evolutionists, which are quite differing points of view, have in common. There's a world out there. It doesn't matter what your religion is, Hindu, Buddhist, Muslim, Christian, Jewish, pagan, whatever. You all assume that there's a world out there. And this is what's meant by the doctrine of causal origination. Because this world out there must have had some kind of cause. Whether it's in purely mechanical terms or of divine origination, there's a cause. It's been going on for a long time. We reinforce this idea. There's that world out there, and there's me here, who's trying to make a go of it in this world. And that is a discrimination. What's described here as a dualistic discrimination. Because if that world out there is something that has a history, then there's also a me here, which has a history. A history which we can take as far back as we like, either through DNA or through our ancestors or through reincarnation, or what's quite popular these days is to appreciate that our atoms or their components have been around since the earliest days of the universe. But we get rid of this dualistic discrimination. You might ask how we do this, but it's something that is being explored in depth in a great deal of these videos on this channel. So when the dualistic discrimination is got rid of, well, there's something else going on apart from this discrimination. And it's this something else, if we can tune into it, then we've stepped back at least from this dualistic discrimination. So what's going on apart from this discrimination? Well, awareness is going on. And this awareness can embrace anything, absolutely anything, anything and everything. This awareness, this awareness is a very special kind of understanding of what is meant by love. And if we can appreciate this, then we're beginning to abide in perfect knowledge.